All right, folks, we're back. And I'm still doing this. And you're still not subscribing or liking. That's okay. That's why you're here. I'm here to win you over. But please do like and subscribe. We are here every day. Please, I'm trying to build my following so I can get that money. Because I'm crippled. But anyway. Everything is backwards. Yes, I know. All right. Well, here we are. As you can tell by the title, this is a two-part video. I'm gonna cover Too Lazy to Try tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna put out the video by American Redact. Anyway, while I clear my throat, please like and subscribe. Here we go. Shout out to Too Lazy to Try. I love you. Please make a video hating on me. Please. I'm not like other comedians. I actually like it when you talk shit about me. Hey, it's all press, it's good press. Unless you're like Chris D'Elia or Louis. Anyway, let's get on with it.
He knows I love him, and he said that, and we laughed and we joked around about it, and I apologize for the way I talked about this, but I felt like I need to explain to other people too, to get.
This is Joe Rogan explaining to God why he compared Jesus to AI. No, I'm playing. No, he's really yelling at, apologizing for yelling at his doctor for telling him the true height of 5'2". Joe Rogan is 5'2".
It's like what was going on in my mind out. And it certainly wasn't like covering for Israel, and it certainly wasn't like trying to paint him out like he's damaged or treat him like a child. I just want him to be okay. And when you're dealing with someone or when you have like had experience dealing with someone where it winds up going very badly, and then you're just left with this feeling like, what could I have done? I didn't do a good job of it, especially like the Marcus King thing. Like, that's terrible what I did. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to. You don't think sometimes when you're in the middle of a podcast, you're just having a conversation. You don't think about the impact that it's going to have.
All right. So Joe Rogan just addressed the Theo Von controversy that everyone has been talking about. This is pretty big news. So during his most recent podcast, after the guest left, him and Jamie stayed and did an extra 15 to 20 minutes where Joe just talked about how badly he feels for telling Theo he was losing his marbles a few months ago. And then the other day bringing up him.
Yeah, and I just want to say that because, look, I made fun of Theo Von and his political statements on Instagram. I think they're a little bit, it's like crocodile tears. But that said, I don't think I don't think that's a function of Theo taking antidepressants. I'm on antidepressants. And I know I talk a lot of trash about Rogan, but if I'm being real, like him saying that there's no such thing as an imbalance, that's just wrong. I mean, I've struggled with it my whole life. I'm sure Theo has. I'm sure, and I have my criticisms of Theo, but this is not one of them. And I think it is disrespectful. And I think part of it might be the reason why he might want to treat Theo like he's less intelligent. It's because of Theo's accent. I'm from the South. I understand. I understand. But let's keep going.
him being depressed and making it sound like he's barely hanging on. Like Joe sounded pretty emotional about it, and he said he apologized to Theo and they're good, but he really regrets the way he talked about him. He also said Theo's been doing really well recently, so it's kind of weird. He was acting like Theo was going through it just last week. But I guess since the topic of antidepressants was brought up on the podcast, it just made him think of Theo and him trying to get off them.
Shout out to Joe Rogan for actually having a trans person on the podcast. I think. Anyway.
And then Bami's Netflix special. But just the way Joe randomly brought this up was kind of strange. Like, it's been 8 months since that happened, so it seems kind of random. Also, though, I think maybe the reason Joe brought it up had something to do with him telling Theo he's losing his marbles, because Joe got a ton of backlash for that, and everyone was saying Joe's trying to gaslight Theo because he's ranting about Israel and Palantir, and Joe's trying to silence him. So I think maybe he believed.
Maybe Joe trying to protect him. And I mean, but then again, you guys, bombing a Netflix special is a sign of one being likely to hurt themselves. Joe Rogan would have done that a year ago when he burned the boats. Or like burning your comedy career.
If he brought up how Theo's actually going through it and struggling and he's been trying to help him, then people would understand that he's just trying to get Theo to calm down because he's been losing it recently. But of course, it just made things so much worse. And the conspiracy theorists think Joe is trying to make Theo seem crazy or trying to make him go crazy, or is even setting him up to be suicided. Like, people think Joe's telling people Theo's depressed and going through it because somebody's going to take him out and then they're going to claim it was a suicide. And there are a bunch of people saying this in the comments on Twitter. So the conspiracy theorists were really running with this. And they're all telling him he needs to cut off Joe and he's bad for him. But it sounds like Theo.
If Joe Rogan were going to hurt himself, he would jump off a stool.
Theo and Joe are still good friends. He's not buying into the theories yet. I mean, it might happen at some point, but Joe said he called him, apologized, and they're all good. And it sounds like Joe's been trying to help him off the air, which he should have just stuck to that. Like, having Theo on his podcast and talking to him like he's out of his mind and he needs to calm down was a bad idea, obviously. And then I think it just snowballed from there and resulted in everyone thinking Rogan's trying to stop Theo from speaking his mind because he's exposing Peter Thiel and Israel too much.
He did a show for Netflix and it apparently didn't go well. And afterwards, he said something to someone in the audience where he said, I'm just trying to not take my own life or not end my own life. I forget exactly how he said it. Certainly shouldn't have brought that up in that context. And I probably should.
Well, Joe Rogan knows a lot about bombing and Netflix special.
Shouldn't have brought it up, period. But I just sort of wanted to kind of explain why I have this thing with Theo where I just want him to be okay. And, you know, we did a podcast a while back where we were talking about, he started talking about Israel, and I was like, I think you're just losing your mind. And a lot of people like, you're
He's not losing his mind. It's real. It's a belligerent actor on the world stage. Israel is holding the world hostage for its own, colonial regional interests.
You're covering for Israel, and it wasn't what I was trying to do. And it is my fault. It's clunky, and I was just trying to talk him off the ledge because I had seen this video, and you'd seen that video too. Yeah. From that perspective, from that podcast on, Theo has gotten off the meds. He titrated off. He weaned himself off. He's doing yoga every day or running every day. He's doing something. He's much happier, much healthier. I'm not. So
you're not a doctor, Dr. Giuseppe. I mean, this guy is not necessarily harmful, but like Joe Rogan sounds and acts like that, Catholic grandmother or grandfather who is like, you don't need any of them psychological medications. I mean, again, he dismisses the effect of chemical imbalances. I struggle with it every day.
So it's for him to see that I think that he's suicidal. Like, fuck. That's my failing. That's my failing as a friend. That's my failing as a person. And it's also me talking to Marcus, almost sort of selfishly, ham-handedly try to explain why I talk to him the way I talk to him on that podcast. Then it comes out like Theo has to defend it. And then I called him up and I said, "Dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think of that. And that's very selfish of me. I didn't think that you would have to respond. I didn't even think of it. I just wanted to explain it when Marcus was talking about it. And I wanted to put it into a context. Theo is one of my favorite people. He's a very unusual and very amazing person. The last thing I would ever want to do is hurt that guy. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is say something that would have people
violate HIPAA violations.
Think about him in a negative way, which I'm sure I did. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video and I wanted to apologize. But the whole this problem with like people that are suffering, and I'm not even saying he's suffering anymore because I think he's doing well right now, but at times he has been. They don't tell you what's going on. And especially a guy like Theo, I don't see him that often. I see him every few months. And when I talk to him, it's fun. We have the best time. We laugh.
Talks to Rogan like he's a father figure and he always wants him to tell him everything's going to be okay, which it sounds like Joe is genuinely worried and wants to help him. Doing this publicly, though, is obviously really messy, but it is a tough position for Joe.
It's not the first time Joe Rogan has done this, though. I mean, he famously got Brennan Schaub into comedy. I'll do a video about that tomorrow.
So, you know, if Theo really is spiraling and having an existential crisis, then it's obviously a lot of pressure for Rogan to try to calm him down and reassure him, especially when he's trying to do this on a podcast. So they probably should have sorted all this out behind the scenes first, because doing this on a podcast only makes things worse, obviously. Also, he probably wants to agree with Theo that his concerns are valid, but at the same time, he doesn't want Theo thinking the world's ending and everybody's after him and trying to kill him, which it seemed like Theo started to believe. You know, he said he thought people are following him around and he's all paranoid about Palantir drones taking people out. And then during his most recent appearance, every 10 minutes, he's like, "I'm scared. Everybody's scared. Something bad is about to happen. Joe, is everything going to be okay?" I mean, it almost sounded like a kid talking to his dad for reassurance.
Like,
I'm feared, dude. I'm scared.
oil.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm scared.
Well, it's a scary time because this is a real
people are
hot
scared.
war.
Well, it's just a scary time.
It's a scary time because people are willing to blow people up with fucking drones and missiles. And
Even blacks are getting scared, though.
for real.
Yeah. Everybody is scared out of their wits right now. It's like, but no, people are just scared, dude. And everybody just feels scared, and it makes
Well,
things
they
scary.
should, because a lot of things are getting exposed right now compared to 300 Win Mag.
I'm just scared, dude.
So 300 Win Mag, I think, is fatter.
I don't know.
What the fuck is up in the back of his head, man? It haunts me.
I think I'm just scared, and it's like, yeah, what do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to be okay?
I hope so. Of course. I don't know.
That's what's scary too. You're like, there's just a drone out there waiting for you to say the wrong thing. And they put a bullet through you like some child in Gaza who's just trying to fucking find his other deceased brother in a fucking pile of rubble. And it feels like, maybe this is crazy, but it feels like we're at the last cusp before something weird is going to happen. Didn't you say something weird might happen, Jamie?
So he was kind of freaking out during that episode. And ever since the Department of Homeland Security posted that video using a clip of him to promote ICE, and he got a ton of backlash for it and death threats, I'm sure.
Again, if you platform this guy, bro, this is what you get.
Which this was right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So he thought he was next and he was scared to leave.
Murdered. He wasn't assassinated. He was killed by a corporate rival. It wasn't political violence. Probably by the guy behind him.
Leave his house, and he started freaking out. Which I think them posting that video might have actually been an intimidation tactic. Trump tries to control people and get them in line through intimidation. Like, they had to know Theo would get a ton of shit for this, and the timing was awful. You know, Charlie Kirk was just assassinated. There were a ton of ICE protests. Theo was already getting a ton of shit for supporting Trump, and he also had a comedy special he needed to record coming up.
And you got ICE raids where they're taking people that are American citizens and they're scaring the shit out of everybody. And
Yeah, dude, they made me the video thing. You see that thing where they put me on the video?
You platformed this. Dana White put his hand up your backside and made you endorse Trump, little man.
Oh, that was crazy. They didn't even ask you.
Oh, it was really scary for me.
Homeland Security, was that what it was?
Yeah, just put it up online, and it was
it
after the
Homeland
Charlie
Security?
Kirk thing. Yeah, and so then I was like super scared. You remember?
Yeah.
Remember, I was texting like you. I was just texting people to.
If you endorse the people and have lunch with the people that are actively profiting from the things you oppose, you might be a redneck.
To make sure everybody's okay. I didn't know if they were like just gonna kill people that had been on TikTok or whatever. Like, I had no idea what they were gonna do.
I just can't believe they did that with you, where they just put it in there as if like you were endorsing that.
Well, it just kind of, and it was just a scary time. That was the same time as
Who
after the Charlie Kirk thing.
that?
And I think during his own podcast, Theo said he was scared to leave his house for a while and kept all the blinds closed. Then he thought somebody was following him around at the doctor's office and spying on him or something. Like, he got really paranoid and still seems to be trying to recover from it. But I mean, this is what happens when you start rubbing elbows with Trump and JD Vance. Obviously, that was a terrible idea for these guys. Like, Theo's freaking out all the time. Schultz is trying to walk things back for having Trump on almost every podcast now. Rogan gets a
Trump looks like he's truly uncomfortable by Andrew Schultz mustache. Like, I'll be honest, Trump is a multiple-time offender, but I mean, with that mustache, Andrew Schultz looks like the biggest assault enthusiast of all time, but
ton of shit, and Trump keeps trying to pull him back into MAGA. And now he has that UFC White House event coming up, which he seems really paranoid about. So getting involved with Trump was a total shit show for these people. Also, now everyone thinks Rogan's compromised and scared to talk about Israel or let anyone talk about Israel on his podcast. Which, I mean, like I said in my last video, I think the narrative that Rogan's trying to silence Theo and is only saying he's losing it because he's against Israel is kind of exaggerated, because Rogan always promotes Tim Dillon, who's extremely critical of Israel. He also has on people like Sam Tripoli, Kurt Metzger, Dave Smith, Daryl Cooper, and Ian Carroll, who thinks Israel's behind everything. Rogan also got into it recently with Gads.
Maybe that means that Joe doesn't care about these people. I believe it. I believe not caring if Tim Dillon was alive or unalived. Let's go.
Sad. He pressed him quite a bit about Israel. And Rogan even brought up the theory to him that Israel might have purposely allowed October 7th to happen, so then they'd have a reason to go into Gaza and demolish it, which I covered all that on Patreon if you're interested. So in my opinion, it doesn't seem like Rogan is some hardcore Israel shill that gets all nervous when people bring up what they're doing to Gaza. I mean, he brings it up constantly, so I don't think he's trying to silence Theo Von, of all people, for talking about Israel. I mean, if he were to silence any of his friends, you'd think it would be Dave Smith or Tim Dillon. You know, they've done the most at combating the Zionist narrative. And Rogan promotes these guys like crazy. You know, Dave Smith is like his go-to political commentator, and Tim Dillon is his favorite podcaster. So I think the theory that Rogan is acting like Theo's losing it only because he speaks out about Gaza is kind of exaggerated. Like, I think he just started getting...
I think it's more direct. I think Joe Rogan is made nervous by his direct association with Peter Thiel. And that horse shit where he said, oh, it's Palantir involving. Yes, Joe. Palantir is involved. So you don't need to put it into perplexity. You knew by the way you asked.
Really worried about Theo and felt like he needed to calm him down. and doing things publicly obviously was just a total disaster.
I got scared, first of all, because I love Theo, and second of all, because I've known multiple people that have taken their own life that I was close to that I didn't know they were going to do it until they did it. And when they did it, you feel so fucked and so helpless. You don't know what you could have said or done differently. Since the podcast where I told him, he started talking about Israel and people were saying I was covering for Israel. There's people that even say my wife is.
Joe Rogan isn't tall enough to cover for anybody, but he probably does have solidarity with Israel because they're both small countries.
Jewish. She's not. I don't know why people are saying that, but I get how if you are conspiratorially minded, you would think that that's what I was doing. But if you've listened to the show, you wouldn't think that that's how I've had so many episodes where we criticize Israel. So many so that I brought in Dave Smith to argue with Douglas Murray because I didn't want Douglas Murray to be able to say,
have you been? Sorry, that was for me.
These things that were promoting this war in Gaza without someone who's very educated who understands what's going on, which is Dave, and very good at arguing.
So Dave Smith and Tim Dillon talk about the same stuff Theo does, and Rogan encourages it and promotes it. So I think he probably feels like Theo just isn't cut out for politics because, I mean, it's toxic as hell and a dirty game. And look where him supporting Trump has gotten him. Like, I don't think he's really prepared for what he got himself into. You know, he's really naive. Like, he went to Trump's inauguration. He interviewed him. He's hanging out with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump.
See, there you go, guys. Like, you can't, Theo, you can't cry about Gaza when you're having lunch with the people and probably a threesome. Oh my God. I mean, you can tell Jared is like sitting in the corner. I gotta stop. I gotta.
And JD Vance. And now he's freaking out all the time. He thinks people are trying to take him out. Department of Homeland Security posted that video with him. He got a ton of shit for that. He bombed his special. You know, he's been going through it. So getting involved in all that, I think, was a total disaster. You know, he flew too close to the sun and now he isn't handling it well. But it's hard to tell how badly Theo was going through it because he says it was all overblown, but it sounds like he was really freaking out. And maybe he just wanted everybody to calm down. But either way, Rogan seemed to be genuinely worried about him, which maybe he was overreacting. But either way, it sounds like Rogan actually believed Theo might harm himself. And Rogan says he feels guilty about not.
Joe Rogan looks like an evil cue ball.
Talking to some of his other friends who ended up ending themselves. He also says Ari Shaffir was depressed, and he told him the same thing Theo said about how he's just trying not to kill himself. But then Ari got on antidepressants, and Joe says he thinks that actually saved his life.
Haven't been through this with like Ari, where Ari, like, and I should say this, like Theo got off antidepressants. Antidepressants probably saved Ari's life. There was Ari Shaffir.
Yeah, so don't talk about this stuff because it's anecdotal. What a jabroni.
Never forget this. We were playing pool, and he was just seemed really weird. And I said, "What's going on, man?" And he's like, "I'm just trying not to kill myself." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." And then we put the pool cues down. I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, and so I think he was taking an antidepressant then, but it wasn't working. And I got him a different psychiatrist, and they got him on an antidepressant that helped him. And it really helped. And then his life started getting better. His career got way better. So I was like, what? That guy? Like, how? I never saw it coming. I didn't imagine that he would ever do that. Anthony Bourdain was a hard one because he's one of those ones I felt like, fuck, if I could have been there and talked to him, I could have talked him off that ledge.
I'm sorry, but that's the most unhinged thing I've ever heard. I mean, again, like, Joe Rogan's not tall enough to talk anybody off the ledge. And on that note, I'm going to stop here. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.